So what do employees really want? The first step is to meet with the employee and simply ask what her goals are. Be prepared, however, for the employee to be less than forthcoming. If she's a particularly talented and versatile member of your team, she may find it hard to identify a specific career path because she's open to development in multiple areas and doesn't want to limit her options. But you can help her identify the most promising possibility by using key questions to probe further. Here are some examples. What assignments have you found to be most engaging? Tell me about an accomplishment in the past 6 months you felt good about. What makes for a great day at work? In the book Love 'Em or Lose 'Em, Kay also says that you can give the employee some kind of formal career assessment. A manager in an accounting department discovered during an initial career development conversation that an employee liked working with other people. To learn what kinds of face-to-face interactions suited the employee best, the manager decided to give him a formal career assessment, which revealed an interest in training. Because the employee had been a teacher before, he had a solid skills base to build on. The manager worked with the employee to figure out what skills the employee would need to build to move into a training position. Next, when you're working with the employee, make a plan. Once you've helped the employee uncover his goals, you can then help him put together a development plan. At this point, it's especially important to set realistic expectations. If an employee isn't ready to take on certain responsibilities, you need to discuss the specific skills he needs to develop first. False promises won't work. Most of the steps for developing skills will involve on-the-job activities. For example, serving on a cross-functional task force or shadowing a colleague. In her book, Kay recalls an employee who needed to improve his presentation skills before he could move up, so his manager arranged for him to give a talk to a group of vendors. But first, the manager asked a colleague to help the employee prepare. Kay says that one experience helped the individual learn what it took to make a good presentation more clearly than anything else he had done. Once you have a plan, you need to meet regularly, at least once per quarter, to track the employee's progress. At each meeting, go over the development plan and the next steps. Next, be frank and honest. In some cases, career development discussions require the manager to say things the employee may find uncomfortable to hear, like details about the employee's weaker areas. To make these conversations more effective, prepare for them carefully by gathering as many specifics as possible. Cite examples of where the employee's weaknesses work to her detriment and highlight the benefits to be gained from building particular skills. This is especially important for successful employees on the fast track who might not respond well to criticism. Applied Research's Sullivan points to a high performer whose progress within his company was being impeded by his abrasive interruptions during meetings. To make his point, the manager described a specific example of when the employee's interruptions stopped a colleague from taking his side. Sullivan says he was able to see that while his goal in that meeting was to get people to listen to his point of view, he wasn't able to achieve it. Next, discuss more than just vertical options. If an employee expresses an interest in a job he doesn't have the skills for, or the position simply isn't open, there are lots of other possibilities. For example, you can add responsibilities to an existing job. Kay tells of a manager who learned that a key employee wanted to become a team leader at a time when there were no appropriate openings. So the manager suggested that the man run a group developing a new internet portal to give him the chance to try his hand at leading and developing something new. Or you could suggest making a lateral move. In her book, Kay recalls a store manager who wanted to move to a corporate role but lacked the experience. The company reassigned him to HR for 2 years to help him develop more management skills. Another option is to have an employee shadow someone in a job the employee wants, so the employee can learn more about the job and gain a clearer sense of what it will take to get there. And finally, tailor the conversation to fit. Sullivan says you need to have different discussions with your A and B players. This is something we've discussed in previous lectures. If you have an A player, a highly ambitious employee who wants to move too quickly before she's ready, you should help her establish a more strategic plan for advancing, one that will allow her to develop the bench strength she needs to go further in the long term. If you have a B player interested in moving up too quickly, you'll want to guide him in improving specific skills while exploring new ways to keep him engaged. In addition, consider each person's preference for just how involved you should get. One person might want you to provide a broad sense of the targets to hit, while another employee might prefer you go over things step by step. Now let's go over the 5 L's of career development. First, listen. To understand employees' unique abilities, managers have to be able to listen. That means getting people to talk about themselves, about their likes and dislikes, what's most important to them, and how they view themselves. You might have somebody with a particular skill who, as it turns out, is sick and tired of it and ready to move on. One of the benefits of having this conversation is you may uncover underused or overused skills and be able to match your employees' talents to the needs of the business. Okay, the second L, level. This means not only providing your own straightforward feedback about performance, but also getting responses from others. The benefit of this is that you'll design a more accurate development plan. The third L, look ahead. Investigate trends in the organization and your industry and how they may affect employees' plans. The benefit of this is that you'll better prepare your team for changes on the horizon. The fourth L, in today's fast-changing workplace, one option may not be enough. Help employees think about multiple options and contingency plans. The benefit, you'll come up with a more realistic set of options for your employees. The fifth L, link. Once employees know where they're headed, think about how you can support and advocate for them. The benefit is that as you help your people develop, you grow as a manager and you attract good people to your area. Now let's look a little bit at how top companies develop their stars. The CEO at American Express says most companies maintain their office copiers better than they build the capabilities of their people. But the world is changing and many companies are being forced to change as well. An examination of companies reveals that some of the best at managing talent include American Express, General Electric, McDonald's, and Eli Lilly. These so-called academy companies offer more training to their executives and their alumni become leaders at other firms. American Express has built a rigorous leadership development program with metrics, incentives, goals, values, and calendars. But the biggest investment in leadership for these businesses is the time spent by the CEO and other executives. McDonald's CEO personally reveals the development of the company's top 200 managers. At GE, the CEO reviews the top 600. As the CEO's subordinates see the importance the boss puts on development, they too spend time developing their subordinates. The result is a cascading emphasis on talent management. Indeed, at American Express, 25% of a manager's bonus is tied to talent development. General Electric requires new hires to intern at least one summer before hiring, and evaluation of their potential begins then. At Eli Lilly, about 2/3 of development comes from job experience, 1/3 from mentoring and coaching, and a small bit from the classroom. Eli Lilly is also trying to deal with the problems associated with rotational assignments. The company is trying short-term additional work assignments where managers do not leave their jobs but take on a project outside their field to aid development. The companies on the Academy's list are also passionate about providing candidate performance feedback along with mentoring and support. Certainly, that's not always the case with many organizations, but how can you improve if you don't know how well you have done? Without feedback, managers simply stop caring. To sum up, Employees' professional development and morale should always be a top priority for employers, and especially in an economic slowdown when employees may feel additional burdens. A healthy employee-employer relationship based on mutual respect greatly contributes to an overall positive workplace attitude. Employers who connect with their employees create an environment where workers are more engaged in their jobs and thus more productive. This is the end of the lectures for week 5. I really appreciate you listening to them, and as always, I look forward to reading your work for this week.